The mess hall is unusually quiet. Still dark outside, somewhere in England, somewhere in 1944. And the men eating breakfast know something is wrong before anyone tells them. The breakfast is too good. Fresh eggs instead of powdered, real bacon. Experienced crews have learned to read this. When the kitchen produces a spread like this before dawn, it means someone has decided today will be difficult. Then comes the briefing room. The map at the front is covered. An officer steps forward, grips the edge of the curtain, and pulls it back. From the men who have already been there, the navigators and pilots and bombardiers who have already made this journey and come back missing pieces of their aircraft and pieces of their crews, there rises a sound. Not panic, not bravado, a deathly moan. The target is Leuna. Leuna is a chemical plant in central Germany. A 3-square-mile tangle of pipes and towers and storage tanks outside the town of Merseburg, 500 miles from the English coast. It sits in the flat farmland of Saxony-Anhalt, and at 25,000 feet, it is almost invisible, wreathed in smoke from generators running day and night to hide it from the cameras and bomb sights of the men, now staring at the map. When the bombers reach it, if they reach it, the flak will begin. Not in small clusters, in boxes. Pre-calculated corridors of bursting shells, filling the sky at the precise altitude the German gunners have dialed in and waited for. The bomb run demands straight and level flight. There is no maneuvering. You absorb what comes. This is the story of a campaign that almost never happened. The force to fight it existed months before it was used. The man who designed it spent nearly a year being told to bomb something else. And when he was finally permitted to begin, Germany's own leaders later said this was the day the war was decided. The story begins not with the bombing, but with the fight to be allowed to bomb. Germany has no oil. This is the first fact, and everything else follows from it. Unlike Britain, unlike the United States, unlike the Soviet Union, the Third Reich sits atop almost no usable petroleum deposits of its own. The army that swept through France, the Luftwaffe that bombed London, the U-boats prowling the Atlantic, all of it runs on two sources of fuel that Germany does not fully control. The first is crude oil from Romania, from the refinery complex at Ploiesti, which produces roughly a third of Germany's supply. The second is something stranger and more fragile. Synthetic gasoline, cooked from coal in a network of industrial plants that represent one of the most ambitious engineering projects in modern history. The largest of these plants is the Leuna Werke. Built during the First World War to manufacture explosive compounds, expanded under the Nazis into a keystone of the entire German war economy. It has been producing synthetic fuel since 1927, the bled, first industrial-scale plant of its kind anywhere in the world. By 1944, it employs 35,000 people, covers 3 square miles, and produces fuel essential to every aircraft engine, every tank, every motorized vehicle in the German military. Allied analysts have known this for years. Destroy these 13 synthetic plants, destroy Ploiesti, and Germany cannot fly, cannot drive, cannot fight. The analysis is complete, the case is clear. The only question as the war enters its 4th year is whether anyone in a position to act on it will be permitted to do so. The first attempt comes in the summer of 1943. It will cost 53 aircraft and 500 men. 5 medals of honor will be awarded for what happens that day, more than for any other single air action of the entire war. And when the smoke clears, the refineries at Ploiesti will be producing more than before the attack. Winston Churchill had called Romania the taproot of German might, and Ploiesti, a city of 100,000 people ringed by 7 major refineries, produces roughly a third of Germany's oil and a third of its aviation fuel. The pressure to strike it comes from the very top. At the Casablanca Conference in January 1943, Churchill and Roosevelt agree it must be hit. The order goes to the 9th Air Force. No one asks the commander whether it is feasible. He is told to do it. Colonel Jacob Smart, an advisor to General Henry Arnold, proposes something radical. Forget high altitude. Fly in at treetop level. Come in under radar, hit the refineries before the defenses can respond, and get out. The plan is audacious. The training is meticulous. Months of practice runs over a sand table model of the target in the Libyan desert, every variable rehearsed. The man who will lead the 98th Bomb Group, Lieutenant Colonel John Killer Kane, reviews the plan and calls it the product of some idiot armchair warrior in Washington. He goes anyway. What the Americans don't know, what their intelligence has entirely failed to account for, is that the Germans know they're coming. Colonel Alfred Gerstenberg, the Luftwaffe commander in the region, has broken the American code. He has been preparing for months. The 88mm guns are positioned. Smoke generators are ready. Barrage balloons float above the most critical installations, their steel cables at the exact height to cut aluminum wings. German, Romanian, and Bulgarian fighters wait on alert. The American airmen are living in the Libyan wasteland, dysentery moving through the camps. The Germans are enjoying the Romanian summer. August 1st, 1943, 178, 24D. Liberators lift off from bases near Benghazi in the pre-dawn darkness, carrying more than 500 tons of bombs and enough fuel for one of the longest missions the Army Air Forces has yet attempted. The aircraft are overloaded. The dust is choking. One plane goes down during takeoff. The formation reaches the Adriatic without incident. Then, aircraft number 28, Wongo Wongo, belonging to the lead group, piloted by Lieutenant Brian Flavel, begins to fly erratically. It plunges into the sea. The lead navigator for the entire mission is gone. 177 aircraft continue toward Romania. What follows over Ploiesti is unlike anything the war has yet produced. Different groups arrive at different times, from different angles, bombing refineries already burning from the group ahead of them, flying through their own bomb blasts, through corridors of fire laid down by defenses that have been waiting for them. One bomber, Jose Carioca, goes down into the city itself, crashing into the women's prison. No one from the crew survives. The men who press on through that fire, who hold their course through burning buildings at rooftop height, who complete their bomb runs with their aircraft already in flames. They press on. 53 aircraft lost, 500 men dead or captured, 5 medals of honor in a single day. Within weeks, the refineries are producing more than before the attack. The U.S. Strategic bombing survey's post-war assessment is exact. The mission resulted in no curtailment of overall product output. The damage was real. The strategic result was not. The losses mean the Americans will not attempt another major strike against Romanian oil for 8 months. The lesson for anyone drawing the right conclusions is this: one blow cannot end a strategic target of this scale. The plan had been built on an incorrect premise that a single raid could deliver irreparable damage. The Germans had not just prepared defenses, they had prepared repair capacity. And now, for 8 months, the campaign is over before it has properly begun. In January 1944, General Karl Spaatz takes command of the U.S. Strategic Air Forces in Europe. He is 52 years old, lean, silver-haired, rarely photographed without a cigarette. He doesn't give speeches, he doesn't court the press. He had been flying since 1916, one of the first military aviators in the American Army, and had spent nearly 3 decades understanding what air power could and could not do. His classmates at West Point had nicknamed him Tooey, and the name stuck. His chief lieutenant, Jimmy Doolittle, would later say of him that he was perhaps the only man that I have ever been closely associated with whom I have never known to make a bad decision. Spaatz arrives with a theory of the war. Not cities, not factories, not the rail lines that Eisenhower's staff wants to crater before D-Day. Oil. Aircraft production and oil. Destroy them and the German war machine doesn't slow. It stops. He has the intelligence. He has the analysis. He has, by early 1944, the largest air armada ever assembled. He cannot get permission to use it. Eisenhower wants the bombers against French rail networks before the invasion. The RAF's Arthur Harris, Bomber Harris, wants to keep destroying German cities. Harris believes that systematic area bombing will break the German population's will to continue, and he argues that position at every level of the command structure. He is not a fool. He has a coherent theory of victory, developed over years of hard experience rebuilding a shattered command. He fights Spaatz's oil plan at every turn. Meanwhile, Germany is still producing. March 1944. Eisenhower chooses the rail plan. The bombers fly against French marshalling yards. German oil production continues. German pilots keep flying. German tanks keep rolling. Every week of that argument is a week the campaign is not being fought. Spaatz never stops pushing. Under the stated directive to destroy the Luftwaffe, he begins steering missions toward oil targets where the justification can be read two ways. It is not enough. The cables and memoranda from this period are the record of a man being made to fight the wrong war. Finally, Eisenhower agrees to attest 2 oil attacks. See what happens. The argument is over. The campaign begins. May 12, 1944. The weather is clear. The 8th Air Force launches the largest raid it has yet undertaken. Hundreds of bombers crossing deep into Germany, targeting the synthetic fuel network for the first time in force. The target list includes Leuna. 42 aircraft are lost that day. The plant stops. Within days, reconnaissance photographs confirm what the bomb damage assessment suspected. This is not ordinary damage. The repair crews are already working, thousands of them, around the clock, but the damage runs deep. 1 week after the May 12th attack, Albert Speer surveys the ruins from the air. Speer is Hitler's Minister of Armaments and War Production, the one man in Germany who truly grasps industrial economics. He is the man who has kept the Reich's war machine running through 4 years of Allied bombing, who has reorganized production, dispersed factories, found efficiencies no one thought existed. He is not given to panic. He flies over the bombed hydrogenation plants and then tells Hitler, "The enemy has struck us at one of our weakest points. If they persist at it this time, we will soon no longer have any fuel production worth mentioning." By June 22nd, he reports again. Aviation gasoline production has fallen by 90%. At Bletchley Park, British cryptographers decode German signals confirming what Speer's reports are already saying. Germany is without enough fuel for pilot training. The invasion armies are barely ashore in Normandy, and the Luftwaffe is running dry. Spaatz had been right. He had been right since before anyone would let him try. The proof arrives within days of the first bombs, in the dispatches of the man responsible for keeping the Third Reich's economy functioning. 42 aircraft went down on that first day. The campaign had barely begun. The duel over Leuna lasts a year. The Germans understand immediately that the plant must be defended at any cost. The 14th Flak Division assigned to Leuna grows to 62,550 people. Soldiers, auxiliaries, conscripted workers, female helpers manning radar stations. More than 1,700 heavy anti-aircraft guns ring the complex. Around Leuna, batteries are arranged not in small clusters but in gross battery, formations of up to 36 guns, capable of pre-filling a specific corridor of sky with shells at the exact altitude the Kia. Bombers will fly. Smoke generators run day and night. When the Americans come, the plant vanishes into an artificial fog. On clear days, only 29% of the bombs aimed at Leuna land inside the plant gates. On radar raids, the number drops to 5%. For the crews who fly it, Merseburg becomes a word with its own specific weight. Lieutenant Ted Abbott has never flown an operational mission before. But even he knows what a pre-mission breakfast of real eggs and real bacon means at 4 in the morning. When the briefing officer at Grafton Underwood pulls back the curtain on July 29, 1944, Abbott hears it from the veterans around him. a deathly moan. The target is Leuna. A co-pilot named Alan Cook makes his first visit to Mersburg on October the 7th. Afterward, he tries to describe the flak. He says, "When I describe the flak over Leuna as a cloud, I don't mean just a wall of smoke. It was a box the length, width, and depth of our route to the bomb's away point." Another co-pilot flies multiple missions to Merseburg. He says the plant was so dark from flak and smoke pots and exploding oil tanks that his crew had no idea how close their bombs came to the target. Some days they don't come close at all. In 3 separate attacks, 119 planes are lost without a single bomb landing on the Leuna works. The campaign continues. That co-pilot's name is Tom Landry, and he goes home to Texas after the war, where he spends the next 29 years coaching the Dallas Cowboys. The Germans repair after every attack. The workforce thrown at reconstruction runs into the hundreds of thousands: slave laborers, conscript workers, anyone who can hold a wrench. The Allies study this and learn to work with it, timing each next strike to the moment production resumes, hitting the plant again precisely as the repair crews bring it back online, collapsing each recovery before it can hold. German workers find a phrase for it, passed through the plants in the shorthand of people without good choices. The Americans come at noon. We repair at night. The Americans come again at noon. July 1944, Leuna is running at nearly 70% capacity. 4 attacks in 3 weeks bring it down again. It will never reach that level again. November 2nd, 1944. 683 B-17 Flying Fortresses, escorted by 642 P-51 Mustangs, fly the 500 miles from England to Leuna, one of the largest single missions of the campaign. It becomes one of the costliest. On board one of those aircraft is Second Lieutenant Robert Femoyer. He is 23 years old, a navigator from Huntington, West Virginia, flying with the 384th Bomb Group. Over the target, flak tears through his aircraft and into him. The wounds are severe. The crew offers morphine. He refuses. Morphine will cloud his mind. Without him, his crew cannot navigate home across Germany, cannot thread the flak corridors, cannot find the bases in England. He refuses, and he does his job. He guides the aircraft through the defenses, across the Reich into friendly territory. When they land, they carry him from the plane. He dies shortly after. The Medal of Honor is awarded posthumously. He understood what would happen if he took the morphine. He made his choice. He kept working until he couldn't anymore. Then he was carried off the aircraft, and then he was gone. And the sky was quiet, and the war continued. The production numbers tell the rest of the story. Before May 1944, Germany's synthetic plants are producing an average of 316,000 tons of fuel per month. In June 1944, that number is 107,000. In September, it is 17,000. Aviation gasoline falls from 175,000 tons per month in April to 5,000 tons in September. German fighter production actually peaks in mid-1944. More new aircraft come off the production lines than at any point in the war. The factories have not been destroyed. The planes exist, more planes than Germany has ever had. They sit on their airfields and go nowhere because there is nothing to put in their tanks. The production miracle is pointless. The Luftwaffe is grounded by arithmetic. What this means in the field becomes visible through the autumn. Panzer divisions slow. Commanders begin receiving orders they cannot execute because the fuel to execute them does not exist. On the Italian front in October 1944, Speer witnesses a column of 150 trucks, each one hitched to 4 oxen. The army that conquered Europe in 6 weeks in 1940 is being dragged across the landscape by farm animals. December 1944. Hitler launches his last strategic gamble, the Ardennes counteroffensive. A final armored thrust through the Belgian forests aimed at splitting the Allied line and reaching Antwerp. The forces assembled are real. The planning is audacious. The fuel reserves are not sufficient to support the operation, and every German officer who can do arithmetic knows it. The plan counts on capturing Allied fuel stocks along the route of advance. A bet staked on the assumption that enemy supply dumps will fall faster than German tanks run dry. The bet fails. The tanks stop. Panzer crews abandon their vehicles on Belgian roadsides and continue on foot. February 1945. At the Baranov bridgehead on the Vistula, the Germans mass 1,200 tanks to check the Soviet advance. They cannot move. They have no gasoline. The Red Army overruns them. 1,200 tanks, standing still. In March 1945, Speer sends a final report to Hitler. The German economy will collapse within 4 to 8 weeks. Hitler is in his bunker, dictating orders to armies that cannot move, committing armored divisions with nothing in their tanks, directing an air force with nothing in its planes. The orders go out. Nothing answers. After the war, the men who ran the German military are asked what stopped them. Arthur Harris, the man who had argued against the oil campaign at every turn, who had fought Spaatz's plan for the better part of 2 years, says in his post-war account that the campaign was a complete success. Then he adds, "I still do not think that it was reasonable at that time to expect that the campaign would succeed. What the Allied strategists did was to bet on an outsider, and it happened to win the race." That was Arthur Harris, speaking after the war. Adolf Galland, general of the fighter arm of the Luftwaffe, calls the oil campaign the most important of the combined factors which brought about the collapse of Germany. Hermann Göring describes it as the utmost in deadliness. Speer, in his memoir, is the most direct. It meant the end of German armaments production. The numbers behind those words are these: 22 missions against Leuna, 6,630 aircraft sorties, 85,000 bombs dropped on a single plant, 1,288th Air Force airmen lost at Leuna alone. And from the post-war Strategic Bombing Survey, from May through December 1944, Leuna operated at an average of 9% of its total capacity. 9%, the most important synthetic fuel plant in Germany, defended by 62,550 people and more than 1,700 guns, running at 9%. Spaatz is present at the unconditional surrender signing in Reims. He is present at the signing in Berlin. He is present at the signing in Tokyo, all three. In September 1947, he becomes the first Chief of Staff of the newly independent United States Air Force. After the war, Eisenhower says that Spaatz and General Omar Bradley were the 2 American officers who contributed most to the victory in Europe. He never gave a speech about any of it. No recorded remark survives about the months of being overruled, the months of watching the campaign he had designed sit unused while Germany kept producing and men flew missions against the wrong targets. He simply went back to work. He never said he told them so. He didn't have to. The record spoke for itself.